Greece is close to reaching a central target of its bailout agreement with international leaders after beating expectations of its budget performance in the first 11 months of the year. But is it too early to say that Greece has turned a corner? Joining me down the line for an economic update on Greece is Athanasios Vamvakidis. Thanos, on paper it might be slight improvement, but it would seem that any benefits are yet to be felt in reality for Greece. ECB's Weidman cited foreign demand as the main source of growth for Greece's economy, but what is your outlook? Can Greece still attract investors?
Definitely during 2013, substantial progress has taken place in Greece. For the first time since the program started, Greece met the fiscal targets and also, more importantly, growth surprised to the upside. And reform implementation and overall program implementation has improved. As a result, Greece most likely this year had a very small primary surplus, and most likely it will have, for the first time since this crisis, slightly positive growth next year. However, we can say that the glass is half full but also half empty. There is still substantial need for reforms. The reform agenda looking forward is still includes substantial reforms that need to take place. Fiscal consolidation, they have reached a small primary surplus, but the program projects that they should reach more than 4% in the next couple of years to GDP, primary surplus. And although growth has surprised to the upside, Greece is still in a recession for this year. And although program implementation has improved, structural reform implementation still suffers from delays. So yes, progress has taken place, but there is still a lot to do, and it's still too early to say that Greece is out of the woods.
The Troika were back to conduct a bailout performance review before the remaining funding is released in exchange for reforms. The negotiations were postponed twice already due to a perceived lack of willingness from Greece officials. Is this third time lucky, do you think?
Part of the reason that this review has been very difficult is that because it includes negotiations for the budget for next year and all the reform program for next year. So it's not just a typical review. They are negotiating for the program and all the details of the program for 2014. Now, we believe that some progress will take place before the end of the year, but it is very unlikely that the review will be concluded because there are still substantial open issues. So most likely negotiations will continue early next year, and difficult issues include still a budget gap, given that some assumptions in the budget are optimistic. The issue of foreclosure for non-performing mortgages, which is a politically very, very difficult issue. The issues related to real estate taxes and land taxes, which again politically are very difficult. And then issues that have to do more with negotiations within the Troika, such as the funding gap, given that the program needs more money from the rest of Europe. And sometime next year they also have to discuss the issue of debt sustainability, because it is very likely that Greece will need more debt relief from the rest of Europe. So some progress may take place before the end of the year, but there are too many issues. We believe most likely this review will be concluded February or March.
Ministers urged Greece to continue with result-yielding reforms, but with unemployment hitting an eye-watering 27.4% and record deflation, how much more pain can Greece endure?
So far in the program, the truth is that when we look at the kind of reforms that have been implemented, they have mostly to do with austerity measures and reduction of incomes so that through internal devaluation, Greece will improve its competitiveness. These are painful reforms, and these are reforms that, up to an extent, they contribute to an increase of unemployment. The reforms where we have delays, they are structural reforms such as product market liberalization, tax reform, reforming the business environment, public administration reforms, which are reforms that not only do not increase the unemployment rate, but increase potential growth for the economy. These reforms have been delayed because of vested interests, but these are exactly the reforms that Greece needs in order to have a sustained recovery. So looking forward, We hope that the program will focus less on austerity and more on this kind of reforms, which also will address political constraints in the program, because such reforms will actually bring some growth benefits and will gain more support by the public looking forward compared to austerity measures.
Last week ended with the dollar higher against the euro amid renewed taper expectations. It's a busy week on both sides of the pond, data and event-wise. However, recently many seemingly euro-negative events have failed to dampen the single currency's strength. So how has the euro's performance helped or hindered the Greek economy?
The strong euro definitely does not help. Specifically for 2013, all the improvement that not only Greece, all the peripheral countries have achieved in terms of internal devaluation have been offset by the strength of the euro in real effective terms. Even though the year's recovery has been much stronger than the eurozone recovery, because the Fed policies are much more supportive of the economy, they keep the dollar weak. Looking forward, in order for the peripheral countries and even more so Greece to have a sustained recovery, it has to be driven by external demand. So in addition to reforms to improve internal competitiveness, they do need a weaker currency. However, we believe that as the Fed starts tapering and eventually exiting from unconventional policies, while the ECB will remain on hold, gradually, starting next year, the euro will weaken, which will start helping Greece and the rest of the periphery.
Thanos, thank you so much for your time today. Viewers, don't forget we have all of our usual Monday products for you today, including Press Review, Targets in Focus and the week ahead, so please do keep clicking back to Dukoscopy TV. Goodbye for now.